He was part of the family. So I'm just really shook that he would do something like this.
Did it give you any hope to hear the prosecutor say that they are still hoping that she's alive?
No.
The cold, empty silence of the night was broken only by the soft hum of traffic in the distance. But then in the darkness, a chilling message was sent to the family of Ashley Elkins, one that would leave them paralyzed with fear. A phone call, a whisper of her car found abandoned near her ex-boyfriend's apartment. And just like that, a mother's worst nightmare began to unfold. If you're hooked already and want to dive deeper into stories like this that demand justice, hit that like button, subscribe to Crime Lab Report, and smash the bell, because missing out means these cases stay in the shadows longer than they should. Ashley Elkins was a name that meant so much to so many people. A mother, a daughter, a sister, and a friend. But most of all, she was a devoted mom to two young boys who couldn't understand why their mother hadn't come home. She wasn't just a hairstylist. She was the center of her family, a woman who loved fiercely and worked hard to create a good life for her kids, despite the challenges she'd faced. But on January 2nd, 2025, Ashley disappeared, gone without a trace. The only clue left behind was her car, abandoned near the apartment of DeAndre Booker, her ex-boyfriend, a man who, by all accounts, was the last person to have seen her. To her family and friends, the signs were clear. Something was terribly wrong. Warren, Michigan, where Ashley lived, was a city like any other in America, some parts quiet, others bustling. But the sudden disappearance of a well-loved community member shattered the peace. It wasn't just a woman going missing. It was a mother. It was Ashley Elkins, who had made a life out of looking after others, now gone without explanation. Monica, Ashley's mother, was the first to call attention to the quiet terror of not knowing where her daughter was. Her voice quivered, but it held a strength beneath the fear. "I just want to know where she is," she said during one of the press conferences. She would never leave her children like this. The grief was overwhelming, and yet there was something else, something driving her to push forward. The need for answers, the need for justice. Monica knew something her daughter's friends and family refused to believe. There was no way Ashley would have just left. She was a mother, a dedicated, loving mother who wouldn't just walk away from her kids. And what made things worse, her car was found close to Booker's apartment. This wasn't just a random occurrence. No, it was more, much more. The authorities, too, could sense the urgency. DeAndre Booker quickly became the primary suspect, a man who, on the surface, seemed like just another ex-boyfriend trying to move on after a relationship ended. But as the investigation deepened, things began to take a much darker turn. Booker, who had known Ashley for over a year, had been a fixture in her life. He was there for her during her lowest moments, and some say he even supported her through struggles that made her stronger. But after their breakup in late 2024, things started to sour. It wasn't just a breakup. There were complications, arguments, and accusations. Ashley found messages on his phone from other women. DeAndre Booker had betrayed her trust, and Ashley wasn't the kind of person to forgive that easily. She broke things off. But just a few weeks later, Booker reached out again, trying to rekindle something that never should have been lit. Was this the catalyst for the tragedy that would follow? Take a second and think about it. What drives someone to commit a crime like this? What could push someone to a breaking point where they go from being a loved one to a monster in the eyes of the people who once cared for them? But this isn't just a story about Ashley and Booker. This is about the haunting reality of what happens when someone goes missing. It's about the ripple effect on families, on communities, the uncertainty, the desperation for closure, the need for answers that never come easily. As investigators began to unravel the events of January 2nd, they discovered shocking evidence at Booker's apartment. And with every new clue, the web of lies and deceit grew thicker. But would they have enough to bring Ashley back home? Would they ever find her? What do you think happened next? Stick around, because the twist will blow your mind. The investigation was relentless. Every lead seemed to open up more questions and answers. Yet one thing was becoming clear. Ashley's disappearance wasn't just a case of a missing person. it was something much darker. The investigators' next step was critical. They focused on DeAndre Booker, the man who had been seen with Ashley just before she vanished. Was he just an ex-boyfriend desperate for closure, or was there more to this? At the same time, Ashley's mother, Monica, was left in a state of both grief and defiance. "We won't stop," she said in one of her interviews, voice shaky but filled with raw emotion. "We need answers, and I'm not letting anyone forget about my daughter."
I just didn't want him a bond at all, you know. I just want him not to be able to get out at all. I just want to go straight to prison and just never get out ever again.
I know that they asked for $500,000 and the judge lowered it. How do you feel about that?
I didn't like that. She should have did 500,000, but I can set 250,000. But you know, which could have been higher or no bond at all.
You all have had your suspicions about him. Does this confirm what you were suspecting?
Yes. Yes, I knew it from day one.
Can you tell us about that? Is there a moment that you kind of knew?
When I got to her house, it was 8:40. She left at 8:30. I went in the house for a minute, came back out. I texted her. I had a dream of her car being stolen. And she replied back, "Aw, man," which is weird to me. So I FaceTimed her. She didn't answer. So I said to her, you know, just be mindful about your surroundings and, you know, pay attention where you're going. And she didn't call back. That's not like her. And she never called back. And she never texts back. Never.
Do you think that all man that wasn't like her, do you think that was her answering?
No, that was him. I believe he had her when she walked out that front door.
Does he have any violence or history of violence or anything?
I never knew he was violent, but now that I find out things, I know he was stalking. And some things happened, but I found out later from friends first that, yeah.
So you think he was kind of controlling, possessive?
That I know he was, because he would go through her phone, and she was doing hair at home. And he had a problem with men coming in and get their dreads and stuff done. And so she had got a booth somewhere on 8 Mile, so that she wouldn't have any problems with him. Then when they broke up, then she just went back and started going from her house.
When did they break up?
I want to say September.
And how long were they dating?
A year.
Can you describe their relationship? Have you been around them when they were
Yeah,
together?
he was around my whole family. When I say I thought he was the one who was going to marry her, he was good to her kids. He played ball with them. He took me to their haircuts. Ashley's father was murdered also April 8th of last year. He was there for that. He went to, I worked for Stellantis, and we had a Christmas extravaganza last Christmas. He was there.
Formal.
The formal. He was there. He was always at my house. I cooked. He was part of the family. So I'm just really shook that he would do something like this.
Did it give you any hope to hear the prosecutor say that they are still hoping that she's alive?
No.
Yeah, I think, you know, we heard from the chief and the police, and based upon the evidence, you know, there's reason to believe that she is not. We know the prosecutor is legalese, right, until a body is found in a courtroom. You know, they're still making those assumptions. But, you know, last night, the family was very clear that, you know, based on the evidence that, and what was shared with us by the police, that, you know, she's deceased at this time.
And I know, have you informed her kids at all of that update? I know you were just talking about how they're asking for them.
So yesterday I went and got them. I talked to this 10-year-old. He just screamed and hollered. And asked why somebody do something like that to his mother because she's so kind. And how she takes care of them. Who's going to take care of them now? And he's supposed to be a chef, and he's supposed to buy her house, and he's supposed to cook for her. And they had plans, and now it's like he said he's not going to do anything now. He don't want to do anything anymore. And he's asked me questions like, is he going to his dad's, or he's got to stay there now? And I don't know. I can't break down. I've been strong this whole time, looking every day from day one. And it's like I can't really lose it because now I got to take care of my grandsons. And so I decided to always just keep being strong. But I get tired and overwhelmed. And I just want to thank everybody who helped me. I'm glad I went on live on Facebook. I'm glad that people share. I'm glad for social media who sent me information about all sorts of things, his family and people you knew and addresses. I thank the media for when you all came out, that y'all were on the ball. Y'all were calling me up all the time from day one trying to get it on there. And, we don't speak on why I didn't get it. I'm not going to go there. But once it got on, even they would call me and would tell me updates so that I wouldn't see it on social media. Trying to just protect me and protect my family. So I really appreciate that.
Do you have any feelings to just how full that courtroom was? Some people, some reporters didn't even get in. It was so full with support.
Yeah. I was on social media. I felt like I was alone and I didn't have anybody. And everybody showed me I did. That there are still villages out here. And, yeah. I'm going to be okay with time. The boys will be okay with time, but it's just heartbreaking. She didn't deserve this. She was really a sweet. Even when she was born, she was a child who never cried. And growing up, she didn't do too much. She was real quiet, happy. She was the person that everybody went to, her friends, for advice. And yeah, this is just hard.
She was missing. She's still missing. You still don't know. What would help you right now? What would help you in any way right now?
Just prayers. Just everybody pray that we find her. Just pray. I've looked, so I'm sure that they probably know where she is. They probably still looking for her. That's what I feel. They just gotta find her.
Even if you know in your heart that she's possibly deceased.
I know she is. I knew it because they took too long, so.
You still want to just have your baby home.
Yeah.
Yeah. So at least we can lay her to rest,
Monica's determination to keep the case alive in the public, I was one of the driving forces behind the community's continued involvement. Ashley wasn't just another name on a police report. She was a mother, a daughter, a sister, and her story needed to be heard. While the family clung to hope, the evidence was beginning to stack up against Booker. Surveillance footage from near his apartment showed him moving something large wrapped in sheet, and though it wasn't definitive proof, it sent chills down everyone's spine. Could it be Ashley? Was he trying to dispose of something he couldn't explain? As if that wasn't enough, investigators started to uncover other troubling pieces of information. Booker's online searches were telling. How to delete Google search history. Is blood traceable? And even best ways to get rid of a body were among the alarming searches found on his phone. If you're like me, you're probably asking, what kind of person looks that stuff up unless they're trying to cover up something terrible? It's unsettling to even think about. And then it got worse. Blood was found inside Booker's apartment, in places that didn't make sense unless something violent had occurred. As investigators pieced everything together, it became painfully clear Ashley was likely no longer alive, but no one could find her body. No matter how many landfills they searched or how many leads they followed, she remained missing. The emotional toll on Ashley's family was devastating. Imagine being in their shoes, not knowing their loved one was still alive, but holding on to faint hope that one day they'd get the closure they needed. Every press conference, every statement Monica made was a reminder to the world that Ashley wasn't just another statistic. She was a mother, she was loved, and her children deserved answers. Then came the twist no one expected. Police discovered that Booker had been making plans to leave town, even searching for ways to get to Ohio quickly. Was he trying to flee the consequences of his actions, or was it a coincidence? Either way, the pieces were beginning to fall into place. The authorities had enough to charge him with multiple crimes, murder, tampering with evidence, and more, but they still didn't have Ashley's body. In the courtroom, Booker's defense lawyer argued that the evidence wasn't strong enough to convict.
All right, now appearances for the record.
Good morning, Your Honor. Carmen DeFranco appearing on behalf of the people.
Good morning, Your Honor. Robbie Lang appearing on behalf of DeAndre Booker.
And sir, please state your name for the record.
DeAndre Booker.
All right, Mr. Minigan, with regard to the agreement on the new information you've been provided to us.
Your Honor, I have been provided the new information. We would waive the formal reading and stand mute.
All right. Mr. Booker, have you had an ample opportunity to talk to your attorney?
Not today, but yesterday, yes.
Has he gone over your rights with you?
Yes.
Do you understand all of those rights?
Yes.
Do you have any questions regarding those rights?
No.
Do you know what the charges are in the new information at this time?
I don't.
All right. Can we
You might as well read them, Your
read the
Honor.
charges, counsel? Just so that he knows what he's charged with today, or I can do it whatever you prefer.
You could read them out loud.
That's
That's
fine.
fine.
Sir, you are charged with count 1, homicide, murder, first degree, premeditated. The allegation is that you did deliberately with the intent to kill and with premeditation kill and murder 1 Ashley Elkins, contrary to MCL 750.316. That is a felony with a possible penalty of life without parole. Count 2, tampering with evidence, criminal case punishable by up to more than 10 years. Did knowingly and intentionally remove, alter, conceal, destroy, or otherwise tamper with evidence to be offered in a criminal case where the crime was punishable by a maximum term of imprisonment of more than 10 years or imprisonment for life of any term of years. That is a felony punishable by up to 10 years and or $20,000. Count 3, dead bodies, disinterment and mutilation. Did mutilate, deface, remove, or carry away a portion of a dead body. That is a felony punished by up to 10 years or $5,000. And count 4, concealing the death of an individual. That you allegedly did discover the body of Ashley Elkins, a person he or she had reason to know was dead, and failed to inform a law enforcement agency, a funeral home, or a 911 operator of the discovery while having a purpose to conceal the fact or cause of death of that person. That is a felony punished by up to 5 years and or $5,000. Do you understand the charges against you today?
Yes.
At this time, I'm going to enter the not guilty plea for purposes of arraignment, and we'll move to bond. We'll start with you, counsel. Mr. Lang.
Your Honor, I realize the seriousness of this offense. However, according to MCR 6.106B, he does not fit the category where bond can be denied, even though it is a murder charge, because he has no prior violent felonies, and he, at the time, is not on bond or parole, probation for any violent felony. Therefore, under 6.106C, the court must order the pretrial release of defendant on personal requirements or on secured appearance bond, unless the court thinks he would be a danger to the public and or a flight risk. And, Your Honor, I would reiterate what I iterated before, that Mr. Booker would not be a flight risk. He has lived in either Detroit, Ann Arbor, or Macomb County his entire life. He has ties to the community here in terms of past jobs, family, etc. And if we look at the worry about him being gone, he could be placed on a steel cuff tether, so his whereabouts would be known at all times. He would, I believe, that the police may have already confiscated, if he had a passport in his residence, they would already have control of that. He does not have a driver's license, so that would be surrendered to ensure that he would not flee. With regard to reasons for a personal recognizance bond, the court in Subrule F looks at about 8 known factors. With regard to these, there's only one that stands out, and that is the seriousness of the offense charged. As to all the other factors, Mr. Booker does not have any prior criminal record whatsoever. He does not have a record of non-appearance at court dates. He doesn't have a history of substance abuse or a mental condition. He has had steady employment most of his life, other than for the past 6 months when he was laid off from his job, and he's been working some part-time jobs therein. And again, his ties, family ties to this community. So I expect the court is going to enter some type of monetary bond, but I would ask that be...
Jermaine struggled for years with dental issues before finally finding Nuvia. Listen to what he wanted most after his smile makeover.
Low. I mean, he does not have any assets of his own, and that you put some conditions on his release. Like I mentioned, a GPS tether, no contact with the victim's family, etc.
Thank you, Your Honor. Judge, I believe counsel is misreading 6.106. I believe this defendant can be remanded with no bond, at least for a period of about 90 days. And I would ask for that. If this court is inclined to grant some sort of monetary bond, I would ask for something in the neighborhood of $5 million cash, no 10%.
Is there anything further from anyone?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Having reviewed and being familiar with the statute, I would agree that the defendant does qualify for a remand under the statute. As provided as such, I am going to remand him with no bond into the care and custody of Macomb County Jail at this time. We need to talk PCC dates at this time. There is another case with Judge Bodecker already. There is a PCC scheduled for February 5th, 2025 at 8:30 a.m. I was not at that matter. I do not know if the original court date, if the defendant waived his 21-day rules yet on that matter, and what kind of action.
If I may, Judge, yes, it was an adjourned PCC. The 21-day rule has been waived on that already. I would ask for this PCC to be set. This is obviously going to Judge Bodecker as well?
Yes, this matter will also go to Judge Bodecker. So we can keep the February 5th date of next Wednesday. We can also change that date if we are willing to waive timeline requirements today.
Your Honor, myself and Mr. DeFranco had spoke before we got on the record about dates based upon our schedules and these dates coming up on the previous case of the 5th and the 26th. I would have waived the time frame, but now we've kind of agreed that since we have this PCC scheduled for the 5th on the other case, we just as soon have this scheduled for that, and then we'll go from there in terms of where we're going to go for another PCC based upon the anticipation of the massive amount of discovery I'm assuming I'm going to receive.
And Judge, I agree with Mr. Lang on that. I will begin to coordinate with my office's discovery unit to make sure Mr. Lang gets at least starts to get the discovery as soon as possible. And I agree. I think leaving this the 5th, then we, Mr. Lang, myself, and Judge Bodecker can all look at everyone's schedules together on that date and figure out where to go forward.
Okay, then I'm going to put this matter also on to February 5th, 2025 at 8:30 a.m. on Zoom for a PCC, an exam date of February 12th, 2025 at 8:30 a.m. in person. That will be the control date. You guys can discuss that with Judge Bodecker at the next court hearing. Sir, I am going to officially refer your matter to the public defender for appointment of counsel so that Mr. Lang can be appointed to coordinate both matters.
Yes, and Your Honor, just to speak to that, I was specifically appointed on the other case knowing that this matter might come up, and therefore, yes, you'd have to run it through our office, and I'm going to be on this case also.
So we will make sure that is done as well. And you guys will all be in front of Judge Bodacker next Wednesday, February 5th, 2025 at 8:30 a.m. I have set the matter remotely on Zoom.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Pleasure seeing you again.
Recording stopped.
I know that we've had a huge amount of media that has been asking questions, but we couldn't give answers until the completion of the investigation. But be that as it may, it's still going on, which means other information, evidence, it could be digital, it could be otherwise, it comes in. So we want to, number one, be respectful of the privacy of this family who's lost a loved one. We also want to be non-repetitive. So I believe Mr. Morton, on behalf, he's the uncle in the case, is going to be the spokesman. He's going to be the point person on any matters regarding the family, so that we don't have the intrusiveness with the mother and also the aunt that's here today too. In addition, we have questions that deal with the investigation from two jurisdictions, Mourne and Roseville. Although other officers in the matter, and then we'll speak to that, were involved with the entire rescue and or recovery in the matter at the landfill, there is information at this time that is still ongoing being processed. Therefore, certain answers that are given before we start this morning have to be guarded at best. The innocent is still innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. These charges were levied based on the information as well as the entire process of police work. And I know it was tedious, long, cumbersome, but I thank the family for giving accolades to the law enforcement agencies that did such a fine job. That being said, you heard the charges this morning in open court. In addition, the other charge that was already levied makes a total of 5 charges. And for that, I'm going to open it up because the information that has been given to you right now and provided openly in court deals with the investigative portion of the program, which was brought by law enforcement to the office for a full review, exhaustive review. And at this time, these are the charges that have been levied. Open it up for questions. Let's do it one at a time. Put your hand up and direct it to either the investigative portion or the charging portion, because there's 2 portions.
Could you expand on?
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead. Put your hand up.
Oh yeah, I mean maybe along the same lines, but can you kind of expand on how we got from that last day of the search to where we are today?
This is an ongoing investigation. Detectives continue to work tirelessly, develop more evidence, put together what I feel is an excellent case, obtained enough evidence to present to the prosecutors who went through it very thoroughly and authorized those charges today.
Yes, sir.
I was wondering if you could expand a little more on the evidence that was found. The detective sergeant said there was blood found in the bathroom. What a little bit more about that?
You could talk on that, Mitch.
There was blood recovered from the apartment. It was analyzed by the State Police Crime Lab, and it was a match to Ashley.
And that was in the bathroom, correct?
Yes.
Was it anywhere else, or was it just in the bathroom?
We're going to keep it just to that, what was put out in court this morning at this time.
Thank you, sir.
Can you describe how much blood?
There was blood recovered. It was a match, and it was enough to get the charges authorized today, and we'll leave it at that.
And the evidence?
Go ahead.
The evidence was recovered when you did the search of the boyfriend's apartment, or ex-boyfriend's apartment, is that correct? Or was this at a different time?
It's recovered from the search.
Can you repeat what was said this morning in regard to the suspect being in a vehicle with a female, I believe, and then came back alone? So did he have help? Can you talk about the relevance of why that was introduced today?
We believe he acted alone. There was a video portion of a second female. It was investigated thoroughly. She was not involved. She was unwitting.
Was that at the alleged time maybe of disposal of a body? Or do we know, or can you add any context as to how and what you believe happened as far as where she was taken?
Johnny indicated that you said, was it at the time disposal of the body? He said no, sir.
Okay.
Thanks for the question. Again, this is the kind of case, even though you don't have a body, and you're going to, you're a journalist and, communications is very important. These cases are put together by the totality of the evidence, the statements, the digital evidence that's provided, and because people come forward even during an investigation, may offer more testimony. So we're not that we don't want to answer completely, but there's things that are still ongoing. Somebody had a question over here.
I was going to ask you if you feel confident you can get a conviction without a body.
Past practice is what I rely on for future performance here. This county has seen, since I've been practicing almost 40 years, 4 cases that I'm very familiar with that have had no body and have had total conviction. Because there's no other way sometimes to explain it when you don't have a body except all of the evidence that's been accumulated. Yes?
In terms of the search for her body, are there other places you guys have searched? Can you discuss where you've searched or where you will continue to search if you have additional information to do?
Any information that's garnered as a result of now new information would be searched, of course, but you've already known that the landfill was the main place.
Are there additional places you intend to search?
Not at this time.
Forgive me if these questions may be remedial because I've followed this on the periphery, not directly, but can you speak to evidence that was gathered at the landfill that might be relevant?
Everything that was gathered there is still being processed, and that'll be decided if evidence revalue at a later time.
Can you speak to potential motive here, meaning had they had a longer standing relationship that was breaking off, or can you add any context to the why, perhaps?
I don't think that we have the in-depth knowledge and what you need, but I know the family has given information that has also been a part of the investigation in regards to the relationship. And I think they want to keep a lot of that private at this time.
Thank you.
Mr. Morton, I imagine, I don't put words in your mouth, what's the family feeling today, sir, seeing charges being brought as moving forward in the case?
It's a very tough day, right? Very emotional to hear the charges that were levied. But the family is appreciative to everyone that's worked on this case, particularly to Roseville Police Department and the prosecutors. It's been, a little over 4 weeks now waiting for murder charges to come. And so, though this does not bring complete closure, but we know that this is the journey to justice. So this is where it starts. And that's what the family wants. We want justice in this case.
Forgive me for appreciating what the prosecutor said about privacy concerns and what may have been shared publicly previously or not, so forgive it if it's redundant, but can you share anything in regard to was there an abusive relationship here or what might have transpired leading up to this situation?
Yeah, we can't really speak to those details. We've said in the past that they had broken up back in September. And we've made it clear that we can't speak to motive. I can't get in the mind of a murderer, of a psychotic killer. So we'll leave it at that for now.
My condolences.
What would you like people to remember about Ashley?
Beautiful young lady. Remember mostly that she is a mother of a 10-year-old and 7-year-old. So you have 2 young boys out there who don't have a mother. So the community should, feel for those children. She has a mother here, she has siblings. A full family, a wealth of community members and supporters and friends out there who loved her tremendously. You've heard her mom say multiple times, she was the life of the party. Everyone loved her, cared for her, and she cared for them. But she was a mom who fought and cared and took care of her children. I mean, that's what he took away.
How's the family coming together to help her sons process what's going on right now?
It's tough. Mom has mentioned multiple times they're having nightmares. The youngest doesn't quite comprehend this and what's going on. And so it's going to take a village to wrap around them and support them. But this is tough, and we can imagine that going through the court process over these next few months or year or so it's going to be even tougher. So.
And do you have any message for those who've been working on this investigation, how it's played out, how it's progressed over the last month? You know, what's your message to law enforcement, detectives, and people who've been trying to help bring justice to your family?
Yeah, I mean, we were very clear. We were, the family was frustrated when we started out, right? When Ashley first went missing. We know that law enforcement hands are tied oftentimes. We feel that society as a whole should take these cases more seriously. Just as there's an Amber Alert, we're saying there should be an Ashley Alert, right? When a young woman goes missing and there's reason to believe she's in harm's way, there should be more done. But as it relates to what's been done by Roseville Police, and since that point, nothing but accolades. They've done a fantastic job. The family's appreciative of all of those agencies that participated in the search for Ashley at the landfill. They've communicated with us on a regular basis. I'm going to keep saying this, Chief Berlin has been excellent in how he's worked with the family, and so we're appreciative of everything they've done. We started with Warren Police Department, Roseville Police Department. We know the prosecutors have worked on this. We appreciate it because, we know there's a lot of families that don't get this level of attention, whether it's from the media or law enforcement. And we feel that everyone should get this level of attention. So we're appreciative of what they've done to this point.
How hard is it being in the courtroom, seeing the suspect's face?
It's very difficult, but I think the hardest part is hearing the charges, right? Because then you start to visualize and picture what occurred. That's very difficult.
From the work at this point on, the journey's beginning with the prosecution, because now all of the points that have been investigated thus far, as well as what may come in the future, have to be put together methodically and to show the timeline as to how it all occurs. And I want to thank also all the assistant prosecutors, including the two that are here today, Ms. Seaworth and Mr. DeFranco, because they are going to lead the charge on this case to bring justice to this family and closure someday. That the questions can be answered and be given to those two little boys. Because we all have families in here, let's face it. Nobody wants to be sitting here and going through this. This is extremely painful, and the thought of trying to bring her home and get closure at that time wasn't a success, but we're going to go ahead and do everything we can to purge forward and make sure that justice is going to be in this case. The reality is he's innocent until proven guilty. And everything that we say at this point here, we want to make sure that you have that information in the message that you're leaving to those individuals that wanted to know about the open questions.
I can touch on one thing. We don't get here today without the collaboration of all our friends in law enforcement. Commissioner Hawkins from Warren PD and his officers were phenomenal. Macomb County Sheriff's Office, we had 15 agencies out there at the landfill. Our detectives here in Roseville worked throughout, and unbelievable caliber of people, and the training and their performance and their knowledge of putting this case together is second to none. So without the collaboration of all of us, this doesn't happen today.
And to I guess, come off of that, who's ever trained to go into a landfill and look for a body? None of us. And it's important to realize that they had to strap on boots in godly knows weather and go through garbage to try to do their job to bring her home. So I'm forever grateful for the mission, because it at least took place.
Prosecutor? Two questions. Are there any other persons of interest or accomplices? I know that the woman in the vehicle was not considered an accomplice. Do you believe there were other people involved?
Great question, and I wish that we had more to go on, but the individuals that were a part of, let's say, this investigation, they're not talking, so we'll go from there.
And do you believe, based on evidence that you have or more that you'll look at, that you will find Ashley?
I'm hopeful. I'm optimistic. I'd like to go ahead and tell you yes, but it's only if somebody or evidence points to where that happens. Somebody may cooperate in the investigation. Sometimes it takes a little bit, but I'm hopeful.
A quick question for Chief Berlin. Has a case like this had an emotional impact on the department or even yourself?
Absolutely. The officers were invested in this from the beginning, and doing that search became more invested throughout. And when it was over, felt very defeated. So, yep.
And for point of clarity, please, beyond the DNA evidence in the blood in the bathroom in the apartment, has DNA evidence been found in a dumpster, landfill, anywhere else, a vehicle perhaps?
We're just going to stick with the comments on the evidence from what was revealed in court today.
Fair enough.
There's an enormous amount of pages of information. I'm sure by FOIA you're going to find what statements were made, what information was garnered, and more importantly, the results of that evidence.
Either the prosecutor or Chief Berlin, do we believe that I guess we don't know how she died, is that correct? At this point, we just have the blood evidence, or can you say how you believe she did die, and if that occurred in the bathroom or elsewhere?
So there's still ongoing discussions with the medical crew, if you will, as to certain things that we have determined, okay, that they need to look at and give back. But at this point here, we don't want to disclose more than we need to, given the nature and circumstances of ongoing evidence coming back. If there's no other questions, I know that the family has indicated that their privacy is what they want at this point here. They've been inundated with stress, and they're mourning their loved one. And at this point here, I know you will respect their privacy and go through the spokesman of the family that you bring your questions to him, and he'll make sure he'll do his best to do what's necessary to get you an answer. Thank you for your time this morning, and we appreciate you coming out.
Thank you.
But can you imagine being the prosecutor, standing in front of a jury, knowing that while they had plenty of circumstantial evidence, they didn't have the one thing that could seal the case, a body? It's a nightmare for anyone involved in the case, but especially for the family. They had to fight for justice without knowing where Ashley was. And that's where we are now. The case is still unfolding, with Booker in custody, awaiting trial. There's been no conclusion yet, and no closure for Ashley's family. Every day without answers is another painful reminder of the life they've lost and of the person they'll never get back. The community still mourns, but the question remains, what happened to Ashley? Did Booker really do this? And if he did, will the court be able to find him guilty without a body? It's a painful waiting game, but one that the family won't stop fighting. So what do you think? Can justice be served even without the key piece of evidence, a body? How would you feel if it were your family, waiting for something as simple as knowing where a loved one is? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And as always, if you want to keep these cases in the spotlight and continue uncovering the truth, don't forget to subscribe, and click the bell icon. Stay with Crime Lab Report, because the fight for justice doesn't stop here. Together, we can make sure stories like Ashley's never fade into the background.